Hi everyone, I'm Bridget McGarry-Eldridge. We're going to be talking about some food ethics, the benefits of lessening meat consumption in America. Let's go ahead and get into this. So we're going to start off with some statistics here. So it's a tale of two achievements, the race to the American dinner plate. Both of these statistics happened in the year 2018. First, we're going to go to a Gallup poll. Now, Gallup is a corporation that does surveys across the United States, just surveying about a wide range of topics. This particular survey was just asking, how do you associate, or how many Americans associate with either being vegan or vegetarian? So in other words, eating a plant-based diet. In 2018, we hit an all-time high as a country. 5% of Americans identified as being vegan or vegetarian. Me too. I am one of that percentage. That's an all-time high. About 10 years before that, we're looking at 2% of the United States identified as vegan or vegetarian. I can tell you 10 years before that, I was not quite a vegetarian then, and it was much harder to be a vegetarian at that time. Our world is a lot more vegetarian friendly, so you can see as that percentage raises, so does the country reacts to that. So at the same time that the United States is getting more vegetarians or vegans, more people on a plant-based diet, they hit another achievement. 2018 was the year, according to the USDA.gov, where Americans now consume more meat per capita than ever before. So we're hitting, at that time, about 215 pounds to 222 pounds per capita per person. So what we're talking about there is each meat-eating person averages 215 pounds of meat per year, which was the all-time high at that point. So as we're gaining people who are taking meat out of their diet completely, we're also gaining how much meat America consumes as a whole. Really cool fact. So what is all this meat consumption doing, and what does it mean for America? Well, let's talk about meatless meals. First of all, they're better for the environment. We are not talking about taking your life and changing it completely. You've got to remove meat. No, we're saying, what I'm saying, not we, is that if you remove one meal, what was that one meatless meal look like? So a lot of people say meatless Monday. So I'm going to take one dinner a week and I'm going to take out meat and make sure it's plant-based only vegetables. And how can that impact our environment? How does it impact the United States? How does it impact other populations? How does it impact me? Okay, environmentally, I'm going to read this fact to you. Now, I have those two facts that I just told you, those statistics, and I'm going to read this one. They are at the end of the PowerPoint. If you want to click the link to go ahead and go to those articles, they are there for you. Okay, so this statistic is actually from a New York Times writer. She did an article, and in that article, her name is Jillian Mock. In that article, she cited a study in the Journal of Scientific Reports, and here's what she said. If everyone in the country reduced their meat consumption by a quarter, then we would save 82 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year. It's actually about 82 to 85 million gallons for us per year. And that's going to end in a 1% or result in a 1% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, which, considering we're just the United States, that is huge, huge. Additionally, if we remove that meat consumption, we're talking about opening up a piece of acreage in the Amazon forest that's currently being used for crop production to feed the cattle that Americans eat. We would free up a space the size of Indiana that we could give back to the rainforest, which is an important ecological system in the earth that we've been taking from. So if we can give that back, that's an excellent choice. So taking one meal away, making one meal meatless is a huge impact environmentally. Okay, so how does that impact humanity as a whole? So now we've impacted, say, the Amazon rainforest, a little bit of the globe. How does that impact humanity? Well, listen, as America's demand for meat increases, the pressure to provide for that demand has had terrible consequences. So if you have a country the size of America demanding meat, which is basically what we're doing because it's such an important staple of our meals that we can't get all the meat just from the United States, it has had epic impacts on other populations. So I'm going to read to you another statistic. This actually came from a book called Ethical Food, surprisingly, written by McShane and Pojman. Now, it's Food Ethics is actually the name of the book. It came out in 2017, but it is a fact about 1984. So it says Half of the world's grain harvest is fed to livestock, while millions of humans go hungry. In 1984, when thousands of Ethiopians were dying from famine, Ethiopia, or the government of Ethiopia, continued growing and shipping millions of dollars worth of livestock to the United States and other countries instead of feeding their own people. So guys, the loss of human life should never come at the hands of human preference. I'm pretty sure that in 1984 we could have found alternative food methods that would have still fed the United States, at least partially, and then we wouldn't have seen Ethiopians dying. Now, I don't think that the people of the United States knew that Ethiopians were dying. I think if they knew that was happening, they would have opted to do like a meatless Monday. But it is our job now to become informed about things. And it reminds me of Proverbs 14:31, which states, "Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God." And it is so important not only to honor God, that's wildly important, but just to show kindness to those who are needy. And if Ethiopians are dying because of meat consumption, well, then let's lessen our meat consumption by 1 meal a week. That would be incredibly helpful. The last reason I have is actually for you, so for each individual person. So what you should know is back in 1976, the Royal College of Physicians recommended that due to high fat content in red meat that people should start eating chicken, lower fat content. That recommendation is no longer accurate, and many Americans are still living by it. So in the year 1900, what you're seeing here on these statistics is that of a chicken carcass, so when you cook a chicken, 2.4% of that chicken was made up of fat. By 1970, 8% of that chicken was made up of fat. So that's talking about factory farming. So how are we feeding chickens now compared to how we did in the 1900s? There's a whole lot more of us, so the production changes to make them grow faster. That production change adds fat to the actual chicken meat. So if in 1970 we're at 8%, now in 2020, all chickens that you get are 20% plus, depending on the company, of how much fat they have in them. Those are huge numbers. Chicken is no longer healthier than meat. So if we're talking about or no longer healthier than cow, if we're talking about personal health and how can we contribute to our own wellness, removing meat one night a week is incredibly helpful. In fact, I have one more statistic from the Mayo Clinic. Now, they're also going to be on that last slide, which says that there's actually a double increase in the risk of death from heart disease, stroke, or diabetes, because what's happening right now in American diets is we're having an increase in meat, which gives us that increase in those diseases, and we're having a decrease in how much vegetables, nuts, legumes, which are like beans, fruit, that we're eating. So as one goes up, the other goes down. We only have so much space to eat. And both of these cause an increase in disease. So we're increasing our disease this way, and we're increasing our risk of disease this way. All right, so what we're talking about is meatless meals are better for everyone. So you can see those links here if you want to go to any of those articles. I also had 2 books that I read. Both of the books were called Food Ethics. So one of them was by Pogeman and McShane in 2017. The other book called Food Ethics came out in 2002, and it was by T.B. Mepham. So you can check those out if you want to look into it. Those are going to be in the reference column as well as these articles again. But all in all, the benefits to the planet, to humanity, and to yourself are only going to get better if you can remove meat from 1 meal a week. Meatless meals is pretty doable. It's an easy change to your lifestyle that can make a huge impact on the planet. Every American can be part of a movement that aims to fix this planet, and I think that's something that we should be looking for. Nobody's going to do it on their own, so it does have to be something that we all come together on. So, Meatless Mondays, guys. Thanks. Bye.